Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're grabbing the June 2025 issue of CPA Flight Lines. That's the newsletter from the Colorado Pilots Association.
Right. And our plan is pretty straightforward, really.
Yeah, we want to pull out the most important nuggets, the key info, so you can get up to speed quickly on what's happening at Colorado Aviation and, well, beyond too, all straight from the source.
And there's a ton packed into this issue, seriously. We're talking policy challenges, events, learning stuff, community activities, infrastructure updates. It's all in there.
It really is. Even the cover, it shows that community feel. You've got CPA member Chris Woods with his, wow, really nice 2011 Cub Crashers Carbon Cub SS.
Uh-huh.
And then there's Joe Woods, another member, with his plane sporting a Protect Texas Rivers t-shirt. It kind of grounds it, reminds you it's about people and their passion.
It does. But the very first thing you hit, in the President's Corner by Adrian Nye, it's a bit of an alert, isn't it? Something potentially quite serious for GA.
Yeah, he jumps right into it. Okay, so let's unpack that. What's this big challenge right at the start?
It's all about landing fees. Adrian Nye calls it an emerging threat. Basically, airport operators are starting to slap on landing fees directly.
Directly.
Yeah.
So sort of bypassing the usual FAA channels?
Exactly. That seems to be the point.
How are they even managing that? Especially at, smaller GA airports where this wasn't really a thing before.
Well, that's where the tech comes in. Companies like Vector Airport Systems, they've developed these automated setups.
Automated? How?
They're using ADS-B data.
Yeah.
The position data our planes transmit plus cameras on the ground.
Okay.
And they use that to automatically ID who lands and then, bang, automate the billing and collection of a landing fee for that specific flight.
Wow. So it's like an electronic toll booth, but for landing your plane. And this isn't just an idea, right? The article names places already doing this in Colorado.
Oh, yeah. It's happening. The source lists Durango, Rifle, Aspen, and Colorado Springs as current clients using these systems right now. And it makes clear this isn't just a Colorado issue. It's happening at many more airports across the country.
That sounds like it could create some real headaches for pilots. What kind of difficulties are people running into?
Well, one big one is just figuring out what the fee is going to be. You might not even know until you get a bill in the mail later.
Seriously?
Yeah. And often this is on top of the FBO fees, which, let's be honest, can already be pretty steep at some of these places.
Right. So beyond just the cost hitting the wallet, the article brings up some pretty serious safety concerns too.
That's a critical point Adrian Nye makes, yeah. The worry is, to dodge these fees, pilots might be tempted to switch off their ADS-B where it's not legally required.
Which is obviously bad for visibility, for safety.
Exactly. Compromises safety for everyone. Or maybe pilots cut back on practice landings, touch and goes, pattern work things, essential for staying sharp, just because each landing costs money now.
That seems like it would backfire on the airports too, doesn't it? Less activity means less revenue overall.
That's the other angle highlighted. Less flying activity could mean less fuel sold, and fuel sales are huge for airport income. Plus, it could just make the airport less attractive, hurting local tourism,
Yeah.
Adrian Nye's take is pretty strong. He actually warns this trend could be worse than legislative fights they've had in the past. He uses the phrase killing GA in the U.S., like what's happened in Europe with high costs.
Wow, killing GA. That's a stark warning about where this could lead. So what's the CPA, the Colorado Pilots Association, doing about it?
Well, they've teamed up with AOPA. They signed onto a letter specifically fighting the idea of these fees at KLMO Longmont.
Okay, taking direct action there.
And importantly, the article is a call to action for the whole pilot community. It's asking for ideas, for opposition, stressing this isn't just one airport's issue. It's a trend being marketed everywhere. Sounds like a pretty significant battle shaping up. Needs pilots to get involved.
Okay, so a serious challenge to watch. But shifting gears a bit, the issue also shows a really active community, lots of chances to connect and learn. Let's dive into what's happening in June.
Absolutely. The June calendar in Flight Lines is, it's packed. Maybe instead of just reading the list, we can talk about the different types of things pilots can do this month.
Yeah, good idea. What about the fun stuff, community gatherings, fly-ins?
Definitely got those covered. On Saturday, June 7th, there are actually 2 fly-ins happening. You've got the Greeley-Weld County fly-in at KGXY. Expect pancakes, kids' activities, warbirds on display. No registration needed, just show up.
Nice. And the other one on the 7th?
That same day, June 7th, is Bowler Airport Day over at KBDU. That one's hosted by EAA Chapter 1627 and VAA Chapter 42. They're doing a pancake breakfast and a burger lunch.
Oh, covering both meals.
Yeah. And again, no need to register, just fly or drive in.
Pancakes and burgers.
Yeah.
Sounds like prime fly-in food. Any more later in the month.
You bet. June 14th, the Jeffco Aviation Association has their fly-in at KBJC Rocky Mountain Metro. More pancakes, definitely a theme, plus aircraft judging, trophies, no registration there either.
Okay.
Then, June 21st, the Longmont fly-in at KLMO Vance Brand Airport. This one sounds pretty big. Pancakes, swap meet, aircraft displays, vendors, door prizes.
Swap meet too. Cool.
Yeah. Hosted by EAA Chapter 648, and what's really great is the money raised benefits youth education programs.
Fantastic. So plenty of chances just to hang out, talk shop, see some planes. What about the learning and safety side of things?
Safety and education are definitely well represented. For critical skills, also on June 21st, busy day, the CPA is sponsoring a mountain flying ground school down in Inglewood.
Ah, yeah, that's essential stuff for flying around here.
Totally. Taught by real mountain flying experts. This one does require registration, though, because space is limited.
Makes sense. Other learning or safety events?
While connecting with ATC, on June 5th, there was a tour of the Denver ARTCC in Longmont. Now, apparently, that filled up instantly.
Ah, popular.
It tells you something, right? But the good news is they've already opened registration for another tour on July 30th. These are super limited, like only 6 people per tour.
6 people, that's it.
Yeah. So if you want to see inside the in-route center, the place handling IFR and VFR traffic over a huge area, you need to jump on that July 30th date, like now.
Good tip. Seeing how that all works behind the scenes would be amazing.
Hmm.
What about more official meetings, board meetings, that kind of thing?
Yep. If you're interested in the airport business side, there are a few. The Jefferson County Airport Advisory Board meets June 11th at RMMA and online. Then the Arapahoe County Public Airport Authority meets June 12th in Inglewood and online.
Okay.
And a more specific safety focus. June 25th, there's a Centennial Pilot Controller Safety and Noise meeting in Inglewood. These are usually open, a good way to hear what's going on and ask questions.
And rounding out the month?
June 28th, there's an Aviation and Space mini-convention for women at the Colorado National Guard HQ. The Colorado 99s are involved in sponsoring that.
So really, something for everyone. Social stuff, serious training, airport business, ATC insights, a full schedule.
Exactly. Lots of ways to get plugged in this month.
And speaking of learning and growth, the issue also spotlights some specific educational programs and recognizes some up-and-coming aviators.
It does. That mountain flying course gets another mention, highlighting its history. CPA developed it way back in 1986, still considered premier safety training. Besides June 21st, they list future dates, August 16th and September 27th.
Good to know there are multiple chances. And the June CPA Presents event sounds really interesting. Features an organization called STEM Flights.
Yeah, STEM Flights sounds fantastic. It's a national nonprofit. What they do is connect middle and high school students with volunteer pilot mentors.
How does that work?
The idea is to give students a hands-on flight experience to get them excited about STEM subjects, science, tech, engineering, math, and aviation careers. The presenter for the June event is actually the founder, Brigadier General Dave Brubaker, retired.
What a great way to use GA to inspire kids.
Totally. And the issue also celebrates the 2025 scholarship winners, really highlights the dedication of the next generation.
Tell us about them.
2 really impressive young people. First is August Tregenza. He's 16, a junior, and got the Walton Terry Barbeau PPL scholarship. At 16, he's already passed his private pilot written.
Wow.
And get this, in just 18 months in the Civil Air Patrol, he became an A flight commander. Plus, he's doing varsity basketball in DECA. Juggling all that with flight training is, well, it's amazing.
That's incredible dedication at 16. Who's the other winner?
Ashley Morgan, she's 23, got the Emily Howell Warner Scholarship. She's working on her bachelor's in aviation at MSU Denver, graduating next year. Already has her private and instrument rating.
Nice.
And she's actively working on commercial and advanced ground instructor ratings past the instrument ground written already, all while working full-time as a dispatcher.
Working full-time, studying, and flying complex training.
Wow. Both August and Ashley, just examples of passion and hard work.
Definitely fueling the future.
Yeah.
There's also a note about a really cool hands-on project happening up in Fort Collins with the youth group.
Oh, yeah, the Aero Signet Association. They're doing what they call a 5-day wonder.
What is that?
They're planning to build a Zenith 750 cruiser airplane from a kit live at the Larimer County Fair in Loveland. That's August 1st to 5th.
Build a whole plane in 5 days at the fair.
Apparently. Students and mentors working together, they estimate over 200 man-hours jammed into those 5 days. It sounds like an awesome, intense learning experience.
That is seriously cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, shifting gears to practical skills.
Yeah.
There's an interesting piece in the From the Line section about practicing automation challenges.
Right. This article suggests a specific training technique. The idea is you fly with a safety pilot, but the safety pilot has cooked up a scenario you don't know about beforehand.
Like what kind of scenario?
Something atypical. Maybe they suddenly change your holding pattern clearance or throw an unexpected missed approach at you or tell you your intended runway just closed. Stuff that doesn't happen on every flight.
The goal being to see how you react, how the automation reacts under unusual pressure.
Exactly. It's designed to flesh out any, quirks in how your specific autopilot or flight management system works, or maybe how you interact with it when things get weird.
Makes sense.
And the key takeaway they emphasize is automation is great, but sometimes it can actually cause problems. And you should never, ever be afraid to just click it off and hand fly the airplane if that's what you need to do.
That is such a vital point. The pilot is still in command. You have to be ready to take over if the tech isn't helping or is actively hindering.
Precisely. Don't let the magic box fly you into trouble. You're the PIC. Fly the plane first. Figure out the automation glitch later, safely on the ground.
Good advice. Okay, looking beyond June now, the issue previews some really exciting longer-range fly-in trips. Adventures on the horizon.
Yeah, they highlight 3 pretty different ones. First up, a fly-in or drive-in to Sheridan, Wyoming. That's planned for August 22nd to 24th.
Sheridan, Wyoming. Sounds like a nice weekend getaway. What's the plan?
Well, first off, they snagged a really good hotel deal at the Best Western there. $109 a night. Apparently, the normal rate is over $200 in peak season.
Right.
But you got to book by July 15th to get that rate.
Okay, good tip. July 15th deadline. What about activities?
The itinerary looks fun.
Yeah.
Exploring historic downtown Sheridan, an optional stop at the famous Mint Bar.
Ah, the Mint Bar.
Yeah, and a guided tour of this interesting 1892 ranch house next to the Brinton Museum. Apparently, it has a connection to Forrest Mars, and the M&M candy guy.
No way. That's a neat little detail.
Isn't it? Then lunch at Bihorn Pizza and a visit to the Brinton Museum itself. It's got a big collection of Western and Indian art. Remington, Russell, Audubon.
Sounds cultured. And the finale.
The grand finale is a BBQ dinner at Eaton's Dude Ranch in Wolf, Wyoming. It's right there in the foothills of the Bihorn Mountains. Supposed to be gorgeous.
Nice. What's the cost for all that?
It's $100 per person. That covers the ground transportation while you're in Sheridan and the BBQ dinner. And the registration deadline for the trip itself is also July 15th.
Okay. $100 plus the hotel. Sounds like a great trip. History, art, food, scenery. What are the other destinations?
Next up is a trip planned down to Alamogordo, New Mexico.
Alamogordo. White Sands.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Saturday plans include visiting White Sands National Park, the Visitor Center, driving, hiking on those amazing gypsum dunes. They even mention sliding down them.
Fun.
After that, a stop at McGinn's Pistachio Land, apparently home to the world's largest pistachio, plus a farm tour. Then, the New Mexico Museum of Space History, and maybe, time permitting, the Tularosa Basin Museum, too. Group dinner planned for Saturday night.
Busy Saturday.
Yeah, then Sunday is breakfast and fly home. They say attendees will get a detailed schedule later.
White Sands and space history. That's
Yeah.
a really unique combo. Okay, and the third trip.
The third one is closer to home, a trip to NOAA, Colorado. This one seems focused on local history and geography.
NOAA. What's the focus there?
On Saturday, the plan is to see the Cottonwood Siphon, which apparently was once the largest trestle in the U.S., and explore the canyon, learn about the history of the old Pinon colony there, the hardships they faced, natural disasters, that kind of thing.
Pinon. Never heard of it.
Me neither, but the article says it was once the second largest town in Montrose County, like 50 buildings at its peak. And you learn about the incredible effort it took for them to manually dig this irrigation canal to get water to NOAA.
Wow, sounds like some serious local history. What about the evening?
Evening plans sound great, too. A group dinner at Amy's place at the Vestal House. They emphasize local ingredients, and get this, they have a manual apple press, and you can actually try pressing your own fresh apple juice.
Oh, that's cool. A hands-on dinner experience.
Yeah. For the NOAA trip, it says full details and registration info will be in the July Flight Lines issue.
Okay, so something to look forward to next month. 3 very different, but all sound like really interesting trips.
Definitely some good adventures planned.
So, beyond the events and trips, the issue also gives a peek into the CPA organization itself and some big statewide infrastructure news.
Yeah, the CPA board meeting minutes from May 5th are in there. Gives you a quick snapshot committee reports, membership numbers. Looks like 738 active members currently, focus on new members. Mentions upcoming tours, safety meetings, kind of the nuts and bolts of the organization.
Good overview. And then the really big news from the Colorado Aeronautical Board about airport funding.
Yes, this is pretty significant for the state's airports. The board approved $4.5 million in state funding. But here's the key part.
Yeah.
That state money is mostly used as matching funds for federal grants. So that $4.5 million from Colorado, it's leveraging almost $90 million in federal money.
Wow, that's incredible leverage. Nearly $90 million federal dollars pulled in by $4.5 million state dollars.
Exactly. And this is on top of $13.8 million in state and local grants they'd already approved.
Yeah.
So the total funding for Colorado airports through the state grant program in 2025 is $18.3 million, leveraging a grand total of $119.4 million in investment this year alone.
That is a massive amount of money going into keeping Colorado's airport system functional and improving it. What kinds of projects get funded?
It's a wide range. The list includes major runway and taxiway rehabs at airports like Colorado Springs, Cortez, Grand Junction, Montrose, Telluride. Also terminal improvements at Grand Junction and Durango.
So big projects at the bigger airports.
Yeah, but also things like putting in new automated weather observing systems, ADOS, at rural airports like Canyon City, Nucla, Holyoke. That's huge for safety at smaller fields. Plus pavement work expansions, reconstructions at places like Eagle County, Buena Vista, Colorado Air, and Spaceport. And basic pavement maintenance at Lummen, Trinidad, really covers the gamut.
And it's crucial to remember where this state money comes from, right? The article makes a point of this.
Absolutely critical. It all comes from aviation fuel taxes collected within Colorado. Zero general fund money from the state budget goes into these airport projects.
That's so important. The system is funded by its users. And the source throws out some big numbers on the economic impact of this whole airport system, doesn't it?
It does. Supports over 348,000 jobs in Colorado, provides $23.5 billion in annual payroll, $40.3 billion in value added, and generates $68.9 billion in total annual business revenue for the state. It's a major economic driver.
Huge numbers. And one quick practical note from the Division of Aeronautics report. Something about ForeFlight.
Yeah, just a small, useful update. Apparently, there's a new feature in ForeFlight now that gives you direct access to FAA weather cameras, just another tool for pilots checking conditions.
Handy. Okay, scattered to the issue, there were a few other interesting little nuggets we should probably mention before we wrap up.
Right. There's another fly-in, this one a bit further out, the Murrow Field on the Divide NM99 fly-in. That's June 20th to 22nd in northern New Mexico. Sounds like a really unique mountain flying destination.
Murrow Field.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard of that. What's the vibe?
The description paints a picture of, beautiful mountains, perfect for picnics, camping, hiking, sitting around the campfire sharing stories, photography. Sounds very rustic and community-oriented. They specifically mention the Saturday burrito breakfast as a highlight.
Burrito breakfast. Sold. But there's a crucial catch, right?
A very important one. The source emphasizes, a briefing and registration are required. You absolutely must register and get briefed beforehand to attend, land, or operate there during the event. You can't just decide to fly in unannounced.
Okay, vital safety info for anyone thinking about that one. Good call out. And for anyone browsing the market, the classifieds had an RV6A listed.
Yep, a 2000 model RV6A for $96,000. The specs sound pretty good. Lycoming U360, 180 horsepower engine, about 740 hours total time on the airframe, around 580 hours since major overhaul on the engine, 740 on the prop.
Decent times. Any recent upgrades?
Big ones. It got a new panel in 2021 Garmin G3X with dual 10-inch screens, autopilot, ADS-B in and out, plus a new interior in 2023.
Wow, so a modern panel and an RV6A.
Yeah, the ad calls it nimble, fun, and a fast cross-country cruiser. Sounds like a nice setup for that kind of plane.
Definitely. And finally, a slightly meta point, the issue actually mentions the new CPA Flight Lines podcast.
Yeah.
This very thing. As another way for members to get the info.
It does. Kind of funny reading about ourselves in the source material, but it shows the organization is thinking about different ways to reach people, which is good.
It is. Okay, so zooming back out. We've covered a lot from this June 2025 CPA Flight Lines issue. We've hit the really important policy fight over those automated landing fees and how the community is reacting.
Right, and the huge variety of events in June, chances to connect, learn, just have fun.
We talked about the focus on education, that mountain flying course, STEM flights, the impressive scholarship winners.
And that cool airplane build project. Plus, a look ahead at those exciting fly-in trips to Wyoming, New Mexico, and Nuclear.
And we can't forget the big picture stuff, the significant investment in Colorado's airport infrastructure, all funded by aviation fuel taxes.
Yeah, quite a comprehensive issue.
So hopefully this deep dive gave you, our listener, a quicker, clearer understanding of all these key topics and what's happening right now in the Colorado aviation world.
And as we wrap up, maybe here's a thought to chew on.
Go for it.
You see all this passion, right, in the community events, the fly-ins, the desire for adventure, the dedication of young pilots. How does that deep-seated love for flying square up against, or maybe clash with, these economic and regulatory forces, like the landing fee issue?
Like how do we navigate those challenges, the costs, the rules, while making sure we preserve the actual joy and usefulness of flying? How do we keep GA vibrant and accessible?
Exactly. Something to think about as we all move forward in aviation.